Do you see?
Buenos días, amiga. Sí.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the thoughts. And I think I do not have a proper question. I was just thinking about you connect leadership with parenting. And I was thinking that we are all coming from broken families. I mean that we do not have the best relationship with our father or with our mother, or there is still some kind of a problem. So I just feel that it's hard to be being like a leader is to be like a father for your people in the company. And sometimes we just do not see those examples of good fathership or motherhood, It's just sometimes so hard. So maybe it's hard for people to connect with this kind of a leadership because there was no example in their life to be in this way, to be like a good father or a good mother in the family. And maybe sometimes they are scared, they do not have the example in life of this kind of a proper fatherhood leadership, or they are scared to take this role because they were not taught to do it. And I was thinking, if people in your company are not surprised by the culture when they join the company, because sometimes when we are too nice to people, they are just scared, like, why are you so nice to me? Like, nobody was so nice to me in my life. Or for example, my father was not this way, my mother was not this way, and when they were this way, they wanted something from me. So if you deal with this, it's just my thoughts for you, and maybe you can just say more about this fatherhood and be a leader like a good father. And and once you are a believer or you got a godfather, maybe it's like even a higher kind of a connection with these thoughts.
I'm just gonna have a question. Are you married? Do you have children yourself? Okay, so I would say to you in the 1980s, when I was going through all these challenges, Cynthia and I have 6 children, okay? And because we don't teach people to be good parents. We hope they had good parents, but we don't teach people how to raise children. So Cynthia and I became very proactive in trying to be good parents. And we went to various classes and programs on parenting, okay? So I would say to you, I learned more about leadership raising kids than I did in business school, okay? Because when you profoundly care about those people that you have the privilege of leading, and you don't see them as engineers, accountants, marketing assistants, etc. You see them as somebody's child, knowing that the way you treat them is going to profoundly affect their life. For me, it changed it. So again, I had a lens from my traditional education through which I saw the world, okay? Success was money, power, and position. And I needed people to staff up our organization to create that economic value. And I saw people as a function. That day at the wedding, that lens got turned upside down. And all of a sudden, I saw those 12,000 people as not a function, but as somebody's precious child, okay? That doesn't mean they had the best parents in the world, because we don't teach people to be good parents, okay? And they just do the best they can with what they learned in their parenting. All I know is that Simon Sinek and I agree completely. Parenting and leadership is identical. It is simply caring for the people you have the privilege to lead and seeing them not as a function, but as somebody's child, knowing that the way you treat them is going to affect the way they go home and treat their family, their spouse, their kids. So all I can say to you is it changed everything for me. And guess what? As a result of it, the talent, the relation, our customers will say to us, my own company doesn't treat me as well as you do, okay? So we build big capital equipment. We don't build that equipment for companies. We build it for people who put their trust in us, okay? And our team validates that trust. So some people object to us describing family, parenting and leadership as identical because they say, well, parenting, you tell your kids what to do. Well, if you tell your kids what to do, you're destroying your kids. Your kids need to learn to make their decisions, okay, and grow up in a healthy family. So all I can say to you is Simon Sinek and I agree, and Simon has no kids. He has good parents, but he's not married and has no kids. If you just think of the people you have the privilege of leading as somebody's precious child, and make sure you have a good business model that gives them a sense of, so they can raise a family, buy a home, count on you so they can make financial decisions and career decisions. And then if you treat them with respect and dignity, they will be better spouses, better kids, and we will raise better kids in the world. Because I love it when people say, what's wrong with kids today? I say, they're fine. It's the parents we got a problem with, okay? Those kids were raised in homes where the parents came home from work used. They didn't treat each other right. So what did the kids see? They saw parents who didn't know how to listen to each other, how to care for each other. And so we in business can influence that because we teach people how to care for each other, which is what parenting is. It's caring. The word we use is caring. So seriously, all I can say to you is I learned more in raising kids than I did in business school about leadership. It's about caring for the people that you have the privilege of leading and realizing they're not functions for your success. They are your purpose. And if you give them a good future with a good business model, and they play for each other so we can all be successful, you will have a smile on your face going from those beautiful lips of yours to each ear, because you will have a sense of pride beyond your imagination that you're help healing the brokenness we have in the world when it's only economic success, which we focus on in business.
Hello, Bob. Thank you very much for your talk. My name is Pablo, and wanted to ask you, what do you do? What are the basics you hold onto during dark times? And I think this actually comes a lot back to parenting, meaning you can have a teenager that no matter how much you've tried, because as you said, you try to do the best with what you have, they run away from home, or they do, they are irresponsible. You find the same in business, right? So what do you go back to in those times? Because here, for example, it's the second session today where we're looking at the beautiful, sometimes utopian way of dignity and human flourishing, right? Everything is beautiful. You tell us your story and we see the beauty of leading with values and parenting your employees, right? Seeing people. So what's your advice when finding those dark times, right? What do you face to when you see those situations where you see, wow, I thought I was doing everything right and still I failed?
Well, let me say to you, this is my 52nd year in business, 52nd year in Barry-Wehmiller, okay? I made a lot of mistakes. I called in, our banks pulled on us in 1983 because we grew too fast and we didn't have good financial fundamentals. Here's a historic business that hadn't grown in decades. All of a sudden I brought in these new ideas and we started growing fast. but I didn't have a good command of the financials. So we ended up, the banks pulled on us in 1983. We couldn't pay a bill. I had been the story of success in St. Louis, and now everybody knew that we couldn't pay our bills. I called an executive meeting on a Saturday one day to calm people down. And I said, why don't we get a cup of coffee before we start? And my financial director said, ooh, I forgot to tell you, they repossessed our coffee maker. Okay. So how's that a good way to begin your executive meeting with confidence? They repossessed your coffee maker because we hadn't paid them in 6 months. My reaction to that was, you know what? I never liked that coffee. Why don't I run out and get some coffee? I'll be right back. Okay. So I would say to you that what I was blessed with, not taught, was a tremendous amount of optimism. Okay. The joke when I was first in business was Bob could walk in to a room with poop all over the room floor, and Bob would say, there must be a pony in here someplace. Okay. I have a way of seeing the positive in everything. And I will tell you, from our worst of challenges came my greatest growth. I didn't learn as much when I did things right as when I made mistakes. But I have this eternal optimism that I always say, walk with your feet on the ground and your head in the clouds. Where are you going? Why do you want to go there? And when you get there, why will you have taken your stakeholders to a better place? So as a leader, when you step into a leadership position, you have to realize the people are going to look to your body language, the way you express yourself, to give them a sense of comfort that I am safe in your care. That is when you step into a leadership position, that is your responsibility, okay? Not to say, oh my God, we just got this canceled. Oh my God, we got these issues. Your job is to send people home feeling in your care, they have a future. Now that is a tremendous responsibility, okay? And so I would say to you that my mother was not, she was a simple Iowa farm girl, and my dad was an accountant who's a very nice guy, but pessimistic because he'd had a lot of hardship in his life. So I don't know where my eternal optimism came, but I was always able to see good in the difficult times, which got us through that. And we learned from those difficult times when we made it better time. So as a leader, you don't have the choice to say, oh, gee, we got a problem. You said, let's come together and deal with it. Your job is to bring together the talent to address the issues you face in a way that people feel heard, contribute to the future. You are the guidance, okay? You need to have, as a leader, a positive outlook, knowing that what you say and what you do profoundly influences the sense of comfort, the ability of people to support you, okay? That is the responsibility of a leader. I just happen to be blessed with an exceptional level of optimism, which has served me well in the worst of times. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you. And congratulations, Bob.
Thank you. I need people like you, your age, to follow, okay?
Let's go.
Hi, Bob. My name is Dennis. My question is something that you just said about you learn more from the mistakes than from what you did right. In terms of the transformation to the culture that you have and you foster in your company, what would you say was your biggest mistake or the one that you learned the most?
Well, my first dramatic learning experience was when my dad died, and we were 18 million in sales. And I decided to bring these, and again, the company was financially very thin. It had struggled. My dad kept it alive when he bought it, but he couldn't create its future. And I brought these ideas for organic growth. And my bankers loved it. My directors loved it. And we started growing in solar energy and electronic inspection and filling systems. The biggest mistake I made is I took on more than the organization could do, okay? I tried to take an old company that had never grown organically, and the talent level had diminished dramatically with all the challenges, okay? And I tried to take it into dramatic growth. It was so exciting. I was talked about all over town, okay? And so what I learned was that I did not control my growth, okay, to the capacity of my organization. And I didn't assess that well. And everything we grew, which seemed to have spectacular opportunities, solar energy, filling system, each one for different reasons ended up having challenges. And the cumulative effect of those virtually resulted in the banks pulling me in 1983. And I said to myself, the learning was I did not keep my financial foundation solid as I embraced that growth opportunity. And I took on more than our organization was prepared to do. And we failed and almost killed the company. I mean, within an inch of killing the company. So again, what did I learn? Don't ever count on your banks because they have a certain risk tolerance. Count on my ability to keep the company financially solid, and then the banks will be good. But when you compromise your financial position, the banks have no choice but to pull. So my bankers were my greatest supporters when I was growing dramatically, and they were the first to pull our line of credit when we experienced a problem. So what did I learn? Keep your financial foundation solid, which we did going into 0809, and we got through that just fine. So again, from every one of my mistakes, we learned and we assimilated that into the future model, which is based upon balance of products, markets, and technology. There's absolutely no one customer that could change direction, okay? And I'll give you an example. In 1901, our company started doing business with Anheuser-Busch, which at the time, in my age, was the largest brewery in the United States. And they were 40% of our business. And I was proud of that. They'd been our customer for years. And we were, now the banks had pulled on us, but Anheuser-Busch was still our largest customer. And I felt comfortable that I had that foundation of Anheuser-Busch. And a gentleman who ran the engineering department, who made the decision on our equipment, retired, which I thought was fine. And another gentleman was promoted to his position. And he made a decision after 100 years of dealing with us that maybe we weren't the best supplier. And he ended up placing the largest order in the history of the company of Anheuser-Busch for foreign-made equipment at 40% less than our price. And it almost killed me. And what did we do? Nothing. A gentleman retired, and we had depended upon this relationship. And I said, I will never, for the risk of our people, depend upon anyone, customer, anyone, technology, because something changes out of our control and our people will get hurt. And I care about our people. So that was a huge learning for me. So balance of products, market, and technology is very important to me. So if something changes, I'm not going to hurt the people who put their trust in us.
Thank you.
They're not
Thank you so much, Bob. I love your talk. It's something related to the last question. Sometimes we are afraid. It's okay. Sorry. My name is Pilar Llorico. Sorry. Sometimes we are afraid of change. According to your experience as a leader, how can you promote the change mindset of the teams?
Easy. It all starts with you. Your role as a leader is to present a vision for where you're, don't talk about the word change because we all are uncomfortable with change. Talk about where you are going, okay? Intentional growth, okay? Where are we taking this organization? And then finding a way to share with your team members why that is a good place to go, and then empowering the organization to embrace what it takes to grow there, okay? So again, so many leaders I have found are reactionary. They react to supply chain issues. They react to shutting down Russian economic ties. And we react all day long. We walk into the office and there's a challenge. Somebody's quitting, or we have an issue with a customer. Your role as a leader is not to react. Your role is to have a vision for where you are going, okay? And to be able to articulate it in a way that your team members will feel inspired to help you along that journey. And then when issues happen, which every company has issues, you deal with them in the context of where you're going. So don't start with change. Start with the vision for where you're going. Because everybody, people are comfortable in their roles, and change puts people in an uncomfortable zone. But honestly, change is what makes the world exciting, okay? And as a leader, you have got to be able to share your vision in a way that the people in your care will be inspired to help you realize that vision. And you will keep them updated on that vision and engaged in that vision so they feel a part of helping you realize it. So don't focus on change, focus on where you're going and why you want to go there. And then share that in a way that your team members, you trust them to know where you're going. We are a privately held company, which I'm sure many of you are, and we share all of our financial information with our team members. Why? Because we want them to know the score of the game. Can you imagine going to a sporting event and there be no scoreboard, and you see the soccer players or basketball players or out there playing the game, but you don't know what the score is? That is the way most of our people in our company play. They don't quite know how the company's doing. Their job is accounts payable or manufacturing. In our company, we believe information is respect and power. We share in thoughtful ways where we're going and where we are in the journey, so people can do their role in the context of the organizational role. So again, I would not start with the word change, because we're all uncomfortable with change, but people are not uncomfortable with a vision. Your ability to articulate a vision that they can embrace and understand the logic of is the most important role you have, and then to make decisions in the context of that vision. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
The other thing I'd say to you, you began, do me a favor, say my name one more time.
My name. Yeah.
Say my name one more
Bob.
time.
I
See,
said Bob.
I tell our people, I hate the word Bob. I love the way Europeans say Bob instead of Bob.
Bob.
So anyway.
Sorry.
Perfect. Perfectísimo, amiga.
So again, a European, I would say Bob.
Perfectísimo. Gracias.
Bob, my name is Fidel. Thank you for sharing your time with us, and congratulations on your achievements throughout your career. We received an email recently where they shared with us, IECO Institute shared with us some interviews, articles, YouTube videos, TED Talks, whatever. And in one of those, you mentioned that in order to promote this true human leadership, a significant amount of resources and patience was needed. you have a bunch of ambassadors here of that caring culture, but what do you believe are the challenges forward? How can we achieve greater impact of this caring culture?
Well, let me thank you for saying my name so beautifully. It warms my heart. My mother would be proud of you. She'd say thank you. But I would say to you that what we have learned, because we have a leadership institute that goes out and helps other companies join us in this journey to create a more caring world. And what we realized a few years ago was that we're treating cancer, but we're not curing cancer. The cure for cancer is education. So I would say to you that I'll give the example, when we're raising kids, we need to give them time to embrace the skills for the career that they choose and then to grow in that career. So Bill Urey of Harvard, a world peace negotiator who wrote the book, Getting to Yes, Bill Urey said what he saw at Barry-Wehmiller was courageous patience. I want to repeat that word, courageous patience. What he meant was that we respect that everybody in our organization is at a different place in their life. They have different experiences in different companies. They had different parents. They have a different personality. You can't expect everybody to sing in harmony by giving them the music to sing. We have to give them the time to decide to join you. So Bill Urey describes it as a bus on a circuit. The bus pulls up to your stop and says, would you like to join us in this truly human journey? You say, I'm just not ready. I'm just not there yet. And we say, that's okay, because we'll be back. And that bus goes on and picks up, and it comes up, and the door opens again and says, we're back. We just want to know if you're ready to join us. And you say, you know what? I've thought about it. I see other people. I'm ready to step on that bus. Our leadership model is for people to opt in. There's a guy named Randall Fleming who Harvard virtually studied. In our company, he worked in the machine shop. He was a tough son of a gun from the military, and everybody just leave him alone, okay? He thought this was horrible. I mean, he had no interest in it whatsoever. Today, he's a professor. It's affected his relationship with his daughter. It's affected his purpose in life because we gave him patience to decide he was ready to join our journey. So I would say to you that courageous patience, which is what Bill Urey observed, we didn't even know we had, where we respect that everybody is created uniquely different. They're at a different spot in their evolution. And you can't simply say, we are going to do this, now let's all sing in harmony. We need to understand that we are uniquely different at a uniquely different spot. And what we do is focus on the people who do get on the bus. And we thank them and recognize them and hopefully inspire others to follow their colleagues on that bus so that we together can create a good future for each other, not just for yourself, but for each other. So I would say to you that respecting the dignity of every individual, knowing they're at a different place in their experience and their career, and giving them a chance to get on that bus when they're ready, and focus on the people on the bus so that others want to be on the bus. So that is the answer I'd give to you. Courageous patience. Respect the dignity of each individual. We're at different spots in our life, and they're going to embrace your ideas at a different time frame. But don't focus on the people that don't get it. Focus on the people that do get it. Truly human leadership shines a light in the organization, looks for the goodness, holds it up and says, thank you. And others will join in time. Start with the early adopters. So again, that's what we did. And remember, we operate all over the world, from China to India to Serbia to Italy to Germany. And we have found it to be universally true that people simply want to know they matter. And leaders create an environment where they do. They are allowed to share their gifts and go home each night, having shared their gifts for their career and for the careers of each of their team members. And they go home feeling valued, and they treat their spouse and their kids better. And we could see a dramatically different world than the one we're experiencing today. And why would I spend this time with you all today? Is because I need you to embrace these. We need to create a movement bigger than any one of us could do in each of your unique businesses, so we can show that we can start healing the brokenness we're all feeling in the world, because people are used instead of being valued.
Hello, Bob. My name is Joaquin. I come from Costa Rica, the middle of Central America. Okay, beautiful beaches,
I know
extraordinary
I hear nothing
cloud
but good
forest.
things about Costa Rica.
I was wondering if this humanistic approach can also work in public companies where you have all types of shareholders and decisions are made from very many different types of interests. Do you think this could work in those type of companies? Thank you.
Not only think it, well, I know it can. Let me give an example. Our largest client in our Leadership Institute who wants to follow us was American Airlines. Okay, $48 billion, world's largest airlines. And Doug Parker, the chairman of American Airlines, said to me after he heard me speak in Dallas at a church that he happened to belong to, and he invited me over to his senior leadership meeting at American Airlines. And he said, I thought my job was to build the world's biggest airline, which I did. I now realize I've got 130,000 people that count on me, and we need to focus on them. And he said to me the same question you did: how shall I handle my board of directors? And I said, very carefully, because they are not going to understand this, okay? You can't just go say to your board, we're going to start caring for people, because they're going to say, how's your share price? How's your profits? How's your EBITDA? You have to bring your board along, because your board was never taught to care. One of my most senior directors in this journey was a gentleman who was chairman of Owens, Illinois. He was on the Mercedes board. He ran a public company. So he's on several public company boards. And I said to him, I said, Bob, how many times at board meetings of public companies did you ever talk about culture? And he thought a minute and he said, one time at Chrysler Corporation, we talked about executive compensation. That is as close as he could come in his memory to when culture and people were ever talked about. So it takes a pioneer. You've got to understand your board they're good people. They're not bad people, but they got on your board not because they cared about people, because they have experience in public companies of creating share value, not human value, but share value. So you need to understand your board. And you need to understand, eventually the board of American Airlines said, it is a strategic advantage for us to have a good culture. And they could embrace it. That's how they embraced it. So I would say to you, our experiment, Meyer Food Store is our second biggest client. It's got 75,000 employees. Now it happens to be private, but they have found the turnover in their stores is dramatically reduced. There's another company that makes Justin, anyway, it's a public company that makes, got 3,000 people, and I'm sorry, 10,000 people that make components for travel trailers and things like that. And their turnover in their plant dropped dramatically when they embraced these ideas, okay? Now I could do an economic model to show you that caring for people has a high return. But if you don't have a good business model, okay, your board is going to be preoccupied with your financial performance. Okay, so embracing human skills, it's going to take them time. I work on my board all the time about sharing with them that we care for our people. They love it, but they don't. When we talk about caring, it goes pretty quiet at the board meeting because they have no educational experience or industry experience. And they weren't selected to be board members because of their human skills. They're good human beings, as Doug Parker, the chairman of American Airlines, was. So there's no difference. In a public company, if you walked out into the plant and you manufactured and your machine tools were running at 50% of the capacity you bought them for, you get your manufacturing people say, come on, do something. We paid $1 million for those machines. Well, I know in your company, your people are doing just what it takes to keep their job and no more because they have no passion. It only makes sense that you want people to be alive and contributing their gifts towards your public company purpose, okay? So caring for people is logical, right? If people don't feel cared for, they're not going to share their gifts with you and your organization is not going to achieve your goals. So caring clearly has a financial return. And right now, during the Great Resignation, the talented people leaving major companies around this country, joining our company is amazing because culture has never been more important than post-pandemic. So just think for a second, why isn't caring for people totally in alignment with creating value? It is. When people feel cared for, they will share gifts with you they didn't even know they had, and your business will perform better. It is a logical thing, but no board ever talks about caring for people. They're caring for their shareholders. Remember the Business Roundtable, the 200 largest corporate leaders in America came together about 1.5 years ago in the midst of all this crisis and said, we need to think about more than just the shareholders. We need to think about all stakeholders, okay? And so I would say to you, there is no option not to care. The question is, how do you care in a way that you will bring your board along and show your people that they are your purpose, okay?
Okay, thank you very much, Bob. I'm going to pass the microphone to Joseph.
Hi, Bob. I say, right.
Hi, Joseph. Yes. Bob.
Oh, you know that. Okay, amazing.
It's written right on the top of your forehead, right here, Joseph.
Oh, I see. Okay, thank you
Hey,
for
Bob. I'm sorry, I'm going to interrupt real quick. This is Brian. Thank you so much for that share. We're going to take another question or two, but I want to say to everyone that Michael and I and Manolo are organizing this truly human leadership, this humanistic leadership space in colleges and universities. And you're going to get some more information after today if you're interested in being connected to that at all. We're having a meeting coming up in June that has an on-site component and also a virtual component for a couple hours in the morning where we're having businesses and academics talk together about how we can bring this message into our schools and cure that cancer that Bob has been talking about. So I just want to say you'll get more information about that. We're excited to engage with so many people that have been part of this conversation over the last 2 days. Apologies.
Hey, Brian, you're standing next to Manuel. Hey, Manuel, is the class so far what you hoped? Is the message been so far what you hope for these people
I was planning to say that at the very end. Brian has to leave now, so I wanted to make sure that he talk about New York, and I will tell you later again. But yes, no, it's even better than I ever thought. So this is like dreaming, and then not. I mean, you're basically doing 1,000 times more than I thought. So, but I'll say that later. So continue with the conversation.
Okay,
by the way, should we
Thanks.
continue for around 50 minutes? Is that fine with you? 50 more minutes?
Yeah, okay.
Is that fine? Or is
I'm ready. You told me that this group is some of the best leaders that you have ever met, and I want to do justice to their.
I tell you, that's exactly the case. That's what I'm asking you this, and I know how valuable is your time. So thank you, Bob. Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Okay. Well, my question is quite easy. Just there is, as the company is growing, this big challenge is to keep your vision of taking care of people matters, to the new employees or new companies if you are growing by new acquisitions. And how do you manage that? because it's so clear that you have that strong vision, but how you keep on your extend that vision to the new employees or the new board? So you understand what I mean?
Well, honestly, I would say to you, thank you for the question. Honestly, I'd say to you, it's even easier when you're growing, because the people you invite to join the company to grow, you share with them your vision, you share with them the future, and they bring fresh eyes and fresh talent to add to the team. So the most exciting time for us is when we're growing, because we can invite other people who want to be a part of this and have them share their gifts and bring fresh ways of looking at things that actually enhances our growth. So I would say to you, we're growing. I think we grew by 400 million last year, okay? We have the biggest back, and I would say to you, it is the blend of the experienced people and the new people together in a culture of caring that allows you to realize the potential even more than you can imagine. So when you get the human skills aligned to the vision, great leaders can sit back and enjoy the journey you're on, okay? So I would say to you, it was a lot harder for me to run $100 million company than a $3 billion, because I couldn't afford the talent that I could afford at $3 billion, okay? So I would say to you, bringing the right people on board where you shared your vision, you told them that we're here to create a future for each other. I think you'll find incredibly talented people that will enhance your ability to realize that and work well with your team members who've been there for some time, because everybody feels safe with this vision you have to share their gifts. So you as a leader, you set the stage for both the current team to welcome the new talent and the new team to feel their new ideas can blend together with others, and together we can build something great. So I would say to you, it's the most exciting. I don't think it's the most challenging. I think it's the most exciting. You're blessed to have a chance to grow, and people want to be a part of a growing organization. So, okay, so does that answer your question?
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank
De
you,
nada,
Bob.
amigo.
Hi, Bob. Thank you so much for demonstrating that all of this is not merely theoretical, that it's practical. And, I think this emphasis on both caring, and you said fun, or we could say joy, we can see why 3/4 of employees are disengaged. But we can also follow that through from kindergarten through high school. Gallup has done surveys with each age group, and we see very high engagement in kindergarten, early elementary school, 8 out of 10 engaged. And then it falls to 6 out of 10 in middle school, and then 4 out of 10 in high school. By the time you become a teacher, it's 3 out of 10. And so I think that we are, and this is to your, I think, fundamental message here, we are systematically removing joy and fun and caring. And so we start out in kindergarten integrating the arts and having unstructured play and having opportunities to connect with each other. And then we introduce high stakes testing, and we pull out the arts, and we stop having recess. And we haven't educated the whole person. We've educated a neocortex at that point. So how can we bring this message not just to universities, but to the entire education process?
Well, as I mentioned, thank you. I wish, honestly, I wish you'd send me a note, because you just focused on exactly my purpose before I leave this earth, is to impact education from kindergarten through graduate school, okay? To teach human skills of caring alongside professional skills of math and arithmetic and science and accounting. So as I said earlier, what we realized in dealing with these very fine people, managing people for financial results, that we realized that we were treating cancer, but we were not curing cancer. Why do we have to fix adults? Why do we have to awaken adults to the need to care for the people they have the privilege of leading? Because they were never taught to care. So again, we need, and so Cynthia and I, my wife and I, are funding a leadership development in a kindergarten through 12th grade in Charlotte, North Carolina, the premier private school in Charlotte. Trustees have embraced this, and we are bringing in age-appropriate ways from kindergarten on how to teach people to care, not just math and arithmetic and geography, okay, and English, but caring, okay? Because we have learned through our university, we can teach people the skills of caring, okay? And so by the time they graduate, they will have human skills combined with their intellectual skills that allow them to live life fully in service to others. Unfortunately, right now, education is about getting a good job so you can make a lot of money. That's what education is about, okay? Now, obviously, some people go into fields that don't pay, but in general, education is to get a good job, okay, and to have the skills, but we don't teach leadership. I was giving a speech at a prominent graduate MBA program class, second year. At the end of my speech in a reception, the dean of this graduate school came in and he said, he enjoyed my speech. And I said, Dean, what is your vision, in this case, for the 2 years you have these young men and women in your care? And he said, we don't have a vision. We have beliefs that are on the wall. I said, Dean, if you don't have a vision, how do you know what to teach? He said, we teach what the market wants. I said, Dean, that is pitiful. We need to teach what the market needs, okay? Steve Jobs didn't give us what we need. He gave us what we didn't even know we wanted. We need to teach human skills to stop suffering and the destruction of dignity in the world. Remember, Sir Kenneth Robinson's TED Talk is how education kills creativity, okay? But again, we teach people intellectual skills, but we don't teach human skills. And we wonder why people treat each other the way they do. Husbands, look at our divorce rate. Look at the issues with kids. Look at the story I told you where this young man, his child was showing suicidal tendencies at age 4 because he had a horrible marriage. And, so these kids, remember, I gave a talk at Brown University and I was told the #1 issue facing universities right now is called an epidemic of anguish. What it means is the incoming students into our universities have the highest level of depression and anxiety ever at a level our universities can't deal with. And what are they going to do about it? Okay. Where did those kids come from? They came from our communities, our schools, our families. We're not teaching human skills. We're not teaching how to people to live together, to understand each other, to respect each other. And we have the world we have today right now that's very concerning. So I could not agree with you more.
Thank you. And if we can help at the Human Flourishing Program at Harvard, just let us know.
Do me a favor, send me an email, get an email, because again, we are working with the Jesuit universities, we're working with Charlotte Latin, and in our nonprofit, we're doing studies in universities, because that is what's going to heal the world. I hope you can sleep tonight, because I will say to you, you have a chance to heal the brokenness of this world right now.
Thank you.
So I'll get an email from you. Thank you.
Hello, Mr. Chapman. My name is Alberto. And just a quick question about what I was seeing your presentation. Your company's a huge one. I mean, thousands of employees, many location, production sites. So I wonder how your organization, let's say, cares or promote specifically those places where the possibilities of promoting inside the company are not so likely. I'm thinking in the production lines. I'm thinking in positions where, whatever the reason, it is not so easy for these positions to grow internally, but they are performing okay, no problem. But there is not such a possibility to grow inside the company. So I would like to know, how do your organization motivates and care these people, specifically these people, in order to keep them engaged and happy, finally, as you were mentioning. Thank you.
Well, I wouldn't use the word engaged and happy. I'd use the word that we want people to realize their potential, whether you're the receptionist or you're the president or your chief financial officer, and to realize your potential. That's what we want for our kids, okay? That's what we want for the people in our care, in our company. We simply want you to realize your potential and feel valued for whatever that is, not judged because you only were a machinist. You never became a production leader. So we have a program that has evolved over time. It was originally called My Path, so that everybody in the company saw where they wanted to go and how to get there. It's called Their Path. Okay. And our goal is through university, our internal university, to teach them how to grow, to develop skills so they can become who they're intended to be. The worst thing we do is when we put people in the leadership position or grow and they were not prepared for that position and they fail. Okay. We wouldn't want that to be of our kids. We would want them. So My Path was a way of having a serious dialogue with everybody to say, what would you like to be? It's just like your kids when they're going away to college, you ask them, what would you like to do after you get out of college? And talking them through that, because you don't want them to want to be an astronaut when they really shouldn't be that, okay? So our goal is to look at everybody in our span of care and want them to be who they're intended to be, and not judge them because they were limited by, certain skills they didn't have, but simply want them to know they were contributing and they had a chance to grow. So when you have a growing company, you have greater opportunity to give people chances for growth. And, right now, we have been growing for years from 20 million to 3.4 billion all over the world. So, and constantly trying to give people a chance to be a part of our leadership programs so that they can opt in to make sure that they have the skills to realize their potential, but not judging. So the greatest thing we do is make sure we don't promote people one step above their ability and they fail, because that is our failure. When we put people in positions that they fail in, that is our failure, and it's really hard on them. So I would say to you that I would hope everybody in our company through our university has a chance to learn skills and to have a dialogue about what they'd like to go. I'm also going to use your question, Alberto, to add one other thing. Many companies, most companies have annual performance reviews where we sit down and talk about your salary, in theory, your promotion or your potential. Can you imagine being married and have an annual performance review? Right. It is inhuman to have an annual performance review. We need a dialogue just in a marriage where we're constantly giving each other feedback in a thoughtful, caring way so that we're all growing in our relationships. And you don't even need the performance review because you know where you stand, because we work together and we share thoughtfully and we challenge each other. So I would say to you, you owe it to all those people in your care that they have a chance to grow and that you give them the tools to grow to their potential and not one step beyond that, because that's when we hurt people. Thank you, Alberto.
Thank you.
Bob, let me just repeat Bob properly.
Bob.
I love, Bob, this expression in English that says, dream and your dreams will fall short. that was the case for me today. I was dreaming and dreaming and they fall short. I mean, what you did today was huge. So I wanted to say thank you. And I think I'm just talking, I mean, everyone probably will say exactly the same. So thank you for that. That was incredible. I just was giving thanks to God because we met personally a few weeks ago there in Phillips, Wisconsin. Then I was giving thanks to God because you said yes for this meeting and for this thing to happen. And now I keep giving thanks because you were here and everything you said. So like the last thought, I would just ask you, could you just tell us how to continue this journey together with you in the future?
Well, my goal is that this blessing that I was given not die with me. Okay, that's my goal. And that happened in our church. Okay, this strong rector got promoted and our church fell apart. It would be sad for me, as it would be sad for you to leave this earth and see your family turn against each other. So what I would ask of all of you is I need disciples who believe what we believe, that caring is an integral part of leadership, and that we all need to embrace that responsibility and know that we probably have a lot to learn to be better stewards of these lives that are entrusted to us. So it is honestly, Manuel, a privilege to be able to speak to such a distinguished group of people. You all came across genuine, you were elegant with my name, you were elegant in your questions, your facial reactions were great. So I loved it, but I desperately need your help so that we can begin to model the kind of behavior that's going to start healing this brokenness in the world, so that when we bring kids into this world or family members in this world, they have a chance to be who they're intended to be and valued for that, and go home at night and treat their spouse, their kids, and behave in the community. Because again, I need groups like you, and I need Michael Pearson, who's the leader of this initiative, to see your reaction to this, to believe we're on the right journey. But so education is the vaccine for this cancer of self-interest that's destroying the world. And Michael is at the forefront of it, and you've all come back for this leadership journey. But I need you desperately. So all you really have to do, you can look at my animated TED Talk. It covers these key points with your leaders. And you can discuss it with them. Then you can look at you can decide to do a book study. It's done in Spanish. You can read the book and say, does this make sense? And then realize it is a commitment to your people. And again, there's no question, Manuel, that God has blessed us with this message. Because how can an accountant from Ferguson possibly have the wisdom of Michael Pearson and move a group of people like you? So thank you for taking your time to understand our message. I desperately need your help in creating a world where everybody matters, which is, I believe, a world you would like to be a part of yourself, and you would like for those people in the world you care for. So this is very much fits within the Jesuit universities and the Pope. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Bob.